Well, here is the conclusion to the signal bridge project. And there we've got the completed signal bridge sitting there awaiting installation. And just to refresh your memory, we've got this new industry crossover. I've got the one switch there that controls both turnouts of the crossover and a switch there that controls the diverging route to the industry siding. I do have just one switch operates both of the tortoise motors on either side of the crossover, just for ease of operation rather than having a separate toggle switch for each tortoise. So we'll go ahead and move that. What we've got here is that double signal there is controlling or telling us about that turnout right there, the westbound turnout. That's also indicated by the dwarf signal there for leaving the industry siding, and the single head signal there on track 1 for eastbound. We have a signal light, just a single one that indicates for the eastbound traffic the condition of that turnout of the crossover, and a double-headed signal there that indicates the condition of that turnout of the crossover. So we've got to go ahead and drill holes for the wires from the signal bridge to go down through the layout. One on that side. There already was an existing hole over there, but it only had one set of wires, so I made a hole just a little bit larger to accommodate wires from 2 different signals. So we'll feed them down, and pushing wire works for a little while, but eventually the best thing to do is go underneath and pull the wire through. There you can see some of the tortoise motors. And over here we have a power distribution block, the yellow and green wire coming from that single switch up on the control panel, then feeding both of the tortoise motors, one at either side of that crossover. So I'm going to take the those small 28 gauge wires and hook them up into that power distribution block. Those are a product I get from Evan Designs. They're very easy to use. You just use a little screwdriver to push a tab and insert the wire and release, and it locks the wire in place very well. It is kind of nice not to have to use a screwdriver down there under the layout. Makes connections rather simple. I got a number of those for more recent projects on the layout. So I go up top side and look and see, well, I have the wrong indication, which means I just have to go back underneath and switch the wires to the opposite polarity, and then I end up with the appropriate signal. For the turnout that goes into the industry siding, I've got one of the older style power distribution blocks with screw connections. Those aren't my favorite nowadays. I like the other versions, the more modern thing, better. But here I attach a jumper cable with alligator clips to the leads to the signal, and clamp onto the screws just to make a temporary connection. And then I can check the signal indication up above to make sure it's what we're looking for. And there again, I guessed wrong and had it hooked up the opposite way. So I just have to pop back down under the layout, change the polarity of the wires, and then screw them down into that power distribution block. I did change the switch as it was, so now it is reading correctly. But having hooked up everything, it's time to go ahead and run a train through for the first time. We've got an intermodal train coming out from the tunnel and taking the industry crossover, moving from track 1 over to track 2, heading in a westbound direction. Meanwhile, another freight train is sitting there waiting for that train to pass. After a brief wait, it'll get a green signal on track 1. There it is, and now that freight train can continue. So that pretty much brings the project to an end, although I do have to more permanently attach that bridge down to the layout. Not sure how I'm going to do that yet. Perhaps a little more Elmer's glue, or maybe a very small gauge nail to hold that down more permanently. But then, but for now, the project's pretty well complete other than that last step. Thanks for watching.